Heather. Hair. I think we're on.
Yeah.
Hi, Facebook land.
We're talking about 80s hair.
Welcome to the Coffee Flour Lab here in Seattle, Washington.
I'm Chef Erin.
I'm Chef Chelsea.
And we are bringing you a kind of early bird Valentine's Day special because Valentine's Day actually falls before we will do our next Facebook Live. So we wanted to bring you a Valentine's Day treat and show you a couple things that you can either treat your loved one to or you can treat yourself to, because Valentine's Day isn't just for couples, it's for yourself as well.
Yes, self-love is just as important, if not more important.
That's right. So Chelsea's going to be making some coffee flour truffles because there is nothing wrong with chocolate any day of the year, but especially Valentine's Day.
And Erin is going to hit the second love, champagne cocktail using a coffee flour syrup, enhanced with a little bit of orange. It's delicious.
Yes, and for those of you who are not drinking, such as our lovely friend Chef Chelsea here, or if you have to work the next morning, or you're just choosing not to drink, I'm also going to do a mocktail, so don't feel left out. I got you.
I think I'm going to jump right in. So with these chocolate truffles, they're so simple, easy to make. We're going to start with 7 ounces of chocolate that I've chopped up. The higher quality I feel, the better. I'm going to use a bittersweet here. We bought some bars at the store, crunched them up. Chocolate chips will work okay, but I feel that using a higher quality bar gives you a higher quality product in the end. So in a pan, I'm going to heat 8 ounces, or about 1 cup of heavy cream. And to that, I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of our coffee flour.
And this is the regular coffee flour. And I wanted to do, while you're doing this, I want to do a quick review of what coffee flour is. So when coffee is harvested, they harvest the coffee cherry. And what they're after is the pit of that cherry. And typically they throw the rest of the fruit on the ground. So imagine if you had a peach and you took the pit of the peach and you threw the part that we normally eat, you threw that on the ground. That's the idea behind the coffee harvest. So we go in and we rescue that fruit and we dry it, stabilize it and dry it, and then we mill it into coffee flour. And we typically speak about 2 different grinds. We have the regular grind here, which looks like cocoa powder, and then we have a coarse grind here that looks like a tea. Chelsea is using the regular grind, the cocoa powder looking grind, in her truffles.
Yes, and it acts very much like cocoa powder, and it also enhances natural notes of chocolate. In addition to being great in baked goods like we've discussed, cookies, muffins, brownies, it goes really well with chocolate. It kind of makes a milk chocolate taste more like a dark chocolate, or a lesser quality chocolate taste like a higher quality chocolate.
Right, and that's something that we find with coffee flour kind of across the board, is it elevates notes in the whatever you're making. It elevates the notes that are already there. So if you have something that has, say, pumpkin spice in it, it will elevate those pumpkin spice notes. Or if you have something that has chocolate in it, it will elevate not only the chocolate notes, but the notes that are already in the chocolate. If it's a smoky chocolate or a sweet chocolate or a spicy chocolate. Chocolate, much like coffee, is very dependent on where it's harvested from, and it gets different flavors depending on where it's grown.
Yep. Exactly. So I'm going to bring the coffee up till it's steaming and almost to simmer. You don't need to bring it to a rolling boil. And we're almost there. It goes really quickly. And I'll pour it just directly over the chopped chocolate.
So you're not putting the chocolate into the pan. You're pouring the cream over the chocolate.
Yes, I am. And I guess I am saying don't bring it to a boil. If it does come up to a boil, then just pour half of the cream over your chocolate. You don't want to shock it and make it too hot, or some of that oil could separate. If that happens, there's a quick fix, which I could come to if it happens. It will. But this is starting to steam. If it does look like your oil is separating from your chocolate, you can take some cold cream and just put a tablespoon or so in and whisk it, and it should bring it back together.
That's called breaking the chocolate, by the way, I think.
Is that what it's called? Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. That's what it's called now.
All right, so this just came up to a simmer.
Great. And if any of you out there have any questions or comments, or you just want to say hi, or say, can you tell us again, we missed this part, chime in, send us a message. We've got somebody who is watching the screen and will read the questions to us, and we will get them answered.
I'm going to leave this untouched for a few minutes, let the chocolate start to melt.
Okay, while that is melting, I'm going to jump into the beverage section of our Valentine's Day special. And we have made, so I mentioned the coarse grind, which we also use to make tea. And it's a really, really simple process. We do it in a regular drip coffee maker. Most of you have regular drip coffee makers at home. In a flat filter, cone filter, gold filter, whatever you have, it's easy. So this is 40 grams of the coarse coffee flour, which is always also known as our tea grind, and a full 12-cup pot of water. And guess what? You brew it just like you would coffee. So 40 grams of coarse ground, 12 cups of water, brew it through your coffee maker. It will give you 10 cups of actual tea. And that's because, as we mention all the time, coffee flour is very, very high in fiber, so it absorbs the water. So you will actually get less finished product than you would if you were just making regular coffee out of the roasted beans. So run it through your regular coffee maker. You get a tea, which looks like this. And what we are doing with this tea is making a simple syrup. And simple syrup, by definition, is equal parts liquid and sugar.
Yep.
So
if I could start that over
perfect.
here.
I'm going to hand these to Chelsea. So that is
We have 1 cup of brewed tea, or about 8 ounces, and 1 cup of sugar.
super easy, a cup to a cup.
To bring out some of the cherry notes, and this is up to you, it's totally optional, you don't have to do it, but I enjoy doing it because I do like the flavor that the regular brings. It adds a little bit more of the fruity characters. I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of the regular grind into that mix.
Great.
And we're going to cook it just until the sugar dissolves. You don't have to bring it up to a full boil.
In fact, you don't want to bring it up to a full boil, because once you start boiling it, the fruit notes, as Chelsea has mentioned, the fruit notes will start to leave, and you'll get more of a, it's not a bad thing, but you'll get more of a molasses, brown sugar, maple flavor. And what we really want in these drinks is that fruit flavor to come out. So you want to just get it till the sugar is dissolved, but not boiling.
Exactly.
It's a very, very fine line. But if it boils, don't worry about it. It's still good. So, moving on to the actual beverage, while this syrup is doing its simple syrup thing, I have some syrup already made here that we made yesterday. So this is the syrup that's happening right here. Equal parts tea, sugar, and a little dash of the regular. And I think I'm going to start with the mocktail for our friend Chelsea here. I don't know if these tongs are going to melt. I'm just going to go old school. There we go. Pour some ice into a glass. Thank you. And I'm going to add 2 spoonfuls of syrup. And this is probably 2 tablespoons. Well, there's my mess for the day. You knew it was going to happen. So there's your simple syrup over some ice, some club soda. You don't have to put it in a fancy carafe like this, but you sure can if you want. Top it off like that. Look how it layers. It's so pretty. And then we find that orange, I almost dropped that orange, we find that orange is the best flavor for both the tea in tea form if you're doing an iced tea or a hot tea, but also for this cocktail. So if you're doing a iced tea, we just put an actual slice of orange in there. For the cocktail and mocktail, we're going to go fancy, and I took a channel knife. I know that some of you have these at home. If you don't have a channel knife to actually peel some of the orange off, look at that. If you don't have a channel knife, a peeler works just as well. All you want is the skin of the orange. You want those oils to really come out, and that is, the oils have so much flavor and so much aroma to them, and you just,
That is beautiful.
put that in there like that. You can give it a little stir, mix the syrup up. So that's for Chelsea. That's our non-alcoholic version.
All right, I'm going to jump into this just because it's ready, if you don't mind, and then we can finish with the champagne cocktail. So this has sat for a few minutes, maybe 3 to 5. The chocolate has melted, so I'm going to use a spatula, so you're not incorporating a bunch of air into the ganache. Again, it doesn't matter if you're using a spatula or a whisk, but this is the easiest way. And
Also with this, you can get it off the sides of the bowls.
Yes, get it all. So we're just going to stir it together. The chocolate has melted really nicely. If you want to add booze to your truffle, I'm going to leave it out just because I'm going to feed these to my children and I'm going to indulge myself. But this is when you would put about a ½ ounce of liqueur, and you can use Bailey's, Grand Marnier, vodka. It really is your choice of what you like. I see that there's a question that's come in.
We had a question on substituting the sugar for something other, an alternative sweetener like
Oh, in the syrup?
stevia. Yes.
You know, I haven't worked with stevia in a simple syrup.
I haven't either. We have tried using honey and simple syrups in the teas, and they do work, but our favorite is using just a simple orange or white sugar. I'm not saying that you can't do it. We'll definitely try over the
If
next
you try
week.
at home, let us know how that worked.
Yeah.
But we made a classic simple syrup using the white granulated sugar. Stevia, I believe, is a 1-to-1. I just don't know how molecularly it would break down, or how it would blend, or how it would actually syrup up.
We'll find out.
Technical terms.
Thank you
Syrup
for
up.
asking, though. We love to have challenges.
Yes.
All right, so this is fully incorporated. I'm gonna
That's good.
pop it into a fridge for 2 hours, a freezer for about 30 to 45 minutes before the next step. But I have prepared some, like we do.
Magic of television. Facebook Live.
So I prepared this about an hour and a half ago, and it's set up really nicely.
You can see how thick it is. I mean, it's not running. Look at that. I would laugh if that fell out of the bowl right now. It'd be pretty par for the course.
Yep. So our coating for these we can prep. I have a bowl. I'm going to do equal parts coffee flour to cocoa powder. And this is about a 1/4 cup of the regular coffee flour and a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And this is what I'm going to roll the truffles in once I have them shaped.
So truffles are something that is, considered a very indulgent, obviously romantic, special occasion type thing. Don't think of it like that. Truffles are an everyday item in my book.
Yes. Now, you can use a scoop, which is the easiest way. You could also use a tablespoon or a teaspoon and scoop. I like to wear gloves. It does get a little bit messy on your hands, but you don't have to. So you could just make.
This is probably one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, portion scoop. I think I've said that before.
All the time if I'm making cookies or muffins,
Yep.
or it really is
Yes.
very useful.
Another reason to wear gloves or use a scoop in this case is the heat from your hands is really going to affect the chocolate.
It does, and you can have, if you don't have gloves or if you want to be a little bit less messy, you can have a bowl of ice water where you can dip your hands, but then you have to thoroughly dry them before you do each roll.
I don't want to dip
Don't-
my hands in ice water.
I don't either, so I'm
not
just
fun.
going to wear the gloves. After you do a scoop, simply roll it.
Perfect.
Yep. If it starts to get soft, you can pop them back into the fridge for a couple of minutes or the freezer, and it'll harden right back up. Once you have them shaped, this is your choice now. You can either temper some chocolate or melt some chocolate chips and use a fork to dip them in and coat. I'm going to just use coffee flour and cocoa powder because it's nice, it's simple, it's easy, and quite good. You could toast coconut, you could toast nuts, you can put anything you want into the center of these truffles, so really, the world is your oyster.
Things are about to get good. You ready?
I'm ready.
There you go. That's my favorite sound in the world. For those of you that like to pop the cork like that and have the champagne go everywhere, stop. Please don't do that.
Drink it.
Drink
Don't
the
waste
champagne.
it.
Don't waste it.
I'm just gonna, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
put
but-
these formed balls right into the powder. They're getting a little soft because my hands. And then you can just roll them like this. It's that easy.
Truffles, people.
Truffles.
You want a plate or
Yes,
something?
please. That would be great.
Give me one of these fancy plates.
Because these are done.
Look at that. So some of you probably saw the photo of the truffles on Facebook or on Instagram. We made those yesterday just like this, same truffles. And the recipe is already up on Facebook.
Yep.
And I believe the cocktail recipe is up there as well.
It is, and these are ready to eat now. You can wrap them in plastic, throw them in the fridge for up to a week. You could throw them in the freezer in an airtight container for up to a month.
Or you could just eat them.
But I'll probably
Just
do.
eat them. So we made the mocktail for Chelsea, and now it's Chef Erin's turn. Yay! We're gonna again just throw some syrup in the bottom. I did 1 tablespoon in this because champagne, yum. And it's really that simple. So you've got the syrup, you just top it with champagne. There, my friends, is your champagne cocktail. Again, the little blast of orange with the channel knife, getting a little orange curl on there. You can do strawberries if you want to do strawberries. I know that's a classic, but again, prefer the orange. Extras, a little more champagne in there because that never hurts. Perfect. So we have a fantastic Valentine's Day or everyday truffle and mocktail, and again, everyday champagne cocktail for you to celebrate either with yourself or your friends or whoever you're smooshing on. And happy Valentine's Day. Oh, another question. Yes.
Does the freezing change the look or texture of the truffles?
It may, and that's going to depend a little bit on the type of chocolate that you're using and if it's been completely wrapped, so you're protecting it from the elements of the freezer. It needs to be airtight.
So when you take them out of the freezer, would you eat them right out of the freezer? Will they be too hard to eat, or would you let them soften a little bit?
I would let them come up to room temperature personally.
Okay.
Yeah, you could eat them frozen, but I wouldn't.
I would. Absolutely. I totally would. So this is our Valentine's Day Coffee Flour Facebook Live episode. Again, if you have any questions, you know where we are. Speaking of where we are, we want to let you know where you can buy coffee flour. You can get it at markspantry.com. You can get it at Sprouts Markets. You can get it at nuts.com. Nuts.com will start carrying the course, which we are very excited about. They're the first people that will be carrying the course as well as the regular.
But at the previously mentioned spots, if you make the request, the more people who are asking for it,
Yes.
the more likely or sooner that it will be brought into your stores.
Absolutely. So I think that takes care of us. This takes care of us for sure.
Yes, this is going to be a good afternoon here at the This is a good
And
day.
our next Facebook Live, I think, is going to be your last Facebook Live.
It potentially could be. Yes, I am due the first week of March. We're having a baby. So we will be here, I believe, on the 15th, which
Yes.
is Thursday, February 15th, 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. So until then, we have no idea what we're making yet. So if you have any ideas, throw them our way. We'll get it done. Or if you have something that you have not seen us do and it hasn't shown up on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, say, hey, have you guys ever made this? And we will put it into our rotation. And again, you can find us on Facebook. Obviously, if you're watching us, you're already on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram at Coffee Flour Lab. You can find us on Twitter, and you can always visit us at coffeeflour.com.
And in the meantime, I'll work a little bit on some sugar replacement testing.
Yes, so if you are the one that asked that question, tune in 2 weeks, and we will hopefully have an answer for you.
Yes.
So until then,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Cheers.
Cheers.